Okay, so continuing on our study guide for polynomials, I'm on number 18 now. We are multiplying, box method. It's a 2 by 2. So I make my 2 by 2 box. So r and the plus 7 I put on top, and the r and the negative 7 I put to the side. Fill in the box. R times r is r squared. 7 times r is 7r. This negative 7 times r is negative 7r, put there. In the last box I take negative 7 times 7, and that's negative 49. Remember, you're multiplying, not adding. Alright, like terms in the corner. Oh, look at this. Negative 7 plus 7 is actually 0. They cancel out. So that's going to happen sometimes. I get r squared minus 49. So I only get two terms here because these middle terms cancel out and are 0. Okay, one more of these. Put 19 over here. So q and positive 9, q and negative 9 to the side. Q, those kind of look like 9s. Q's aren't a good letter to use. Q times q is q squared. Multiply those together to get 9q. Negative 7 times q is negative 7q. And 9 times negative 7 gets you negative 63. Okay, like terms here, off to the corner, 9 plus negative 7 would be 2. So 2q. So our answer is q squared plus 2q minus 63. Alright, now we're going to get, all the rest are about factoring. So first on 20 we're going to find the greatest common factor. So you're looking for the greatest common factor on the numbers first. The number that goes in 2 and 32. Well, 2 goes into that. 2 goes into both those numbers. And then with the letter, this one has m to the 5th, so there's 5 m's. This is m to the 4th, so there's 4 m's. Because remember, if you think about m times m times m, like there's going to be 5 of them. Here there's 4 of them, so we can take out 4. It's always going to be the smallest exponent. The smallest exponent is your greatest common factor. Okay, and now we're off to factoring. So we use the box method for factoring as well. So 21 over here. I draw my box first. And the first term goes in the first box. The middle term goes off to the corner. And the last term in the last box. Then I multiply these together. And I'm finding factors of 100 that will add to 101. So 100x times 1x. So if you multiply 1 times 100, you get 100. X times x is x squared. So these multiply to be this. And they have to add to be this. And 100x plus 1x is 101x. So I know that these go in these boxes. And it doesn't matter which order you put them in. Okay, the next step that a lot of people forget, it's super important. In this first row, take out the greatest common factor. What do these both have in common? They both have 1x in common. And I fill the outside like we did the box method with multiplication. X times what is x squared? X times x. And x times what here gives you 1x? Well, times 1. And this x times what here gives you 100x? Times 100. And you can see 1 times 100 is 100. So I know I did that right. Let me write this in our binomials. X plus 1, because that's a positive 1. And then parentheses, x plus 100. So I'll write that right here. So we can keep track of which one goes to which. Answer. And that's how we're going to do all these problems. I make my box. First term in the first box, the middle one off to the corner, and the last term in the last box. And then I multiply these together and find factors of 48 that are going to add to 14. So I know it's an even number, so that's 2 and 24. There's no way I can add those to get 14. So then you can just try 3. Let's see. I'm just using my calculator to check. Yep, 3 and 16. These are both positive, so I know I'm just going to, that my factors are positive. That doesn't add to 14. So I can check. I have 4 and 12. That doesn't add to 14. 48 doesn't go into 5, because it doesn't end in 5 or 0, but I know it goes into 6 and 8. And 6 and 8 do add to 14, so we have 6x and 8x. Put them in any order. 8 plus 6 gives you the 14. Okay, take out what's common in this first row. They both have, oh, these are a's, not x's. Okay, they both have an a. So I know a times a gives me a squared. So a times what is 6a? A times 6. And a times what is 8a? Well, a times 8. And 8 times 6 is 48. So a plus 6 times a plus 8. Alright, I ran out of space on my study guide. So, I got out a scratch piece of paper. And I'm setting up number 23. Alright, the first one goes in the first box. Then off on the corner, last one in the last box. Multiply these together. Negative 20r squared. Okay, factors that multiply to negative 20 and add to, and there's a 1 here, they have to add to 1. So I add, this is a negative, so that means one's negative and one's positive. So I know 4 times 5, but let's make one negative. Negative 5 times 4 is negative 20. If I add those together, I get negative 1r. I need a positive 1. So just change the signs. Those add to positive 1r and multiply to be negative 20. So that's what I want, is negative 4 and 5r. And what's common in the first row is r. So r times r is r squared. Negative 4 times r is negative 4r. And this must be a 5 to get 5 times r is 5r. And 5 times negative 4 is the negative 20. So then I write my two binomials. I just write this in parentheses, and I write this in parentheses. And there's your answer. By the way, the first step in factoring is to find the greatest common factor. None of these have had one yet. I forgot to mention that, but none of these have had these, so I haven't had to do the greatest common factor step. When there's not a coefficient in front and it starts with a squared, I'm used to knowing that there's no GCF. So remember, if there's a GCF, to do that first. Okay, I set up 24. Multiply these together. So what multiplies to be 14? Negative 14, so negative 7 and 2. If I add those together, I get negative 5. I want a positive 5, so I just change the signs. Those add to positive 5, multiply to be negative 14. There we go. So these share a b, so that means b times b is b squared, and b times 7 is 7b. b times negative 2 gives me the negative 2b. Negative 2 times 7 is the negative 14. This is a positive, so I put b plus 7 times b minus 2. Alright. Now there's a coefficient. Now there's a number in front on 25. So now I'm going to check, is there a greatest common factor? Is there a number that goes in 3 and 2? No, there's not. So there is no greatest common factor. So we set up everything else the same. First, last, and middle term. Multiply these together. This is where it becomes a little bit harder. We now have a bigger number to deal with. So negative 8 times 3 is negative 24. So factors of negative 24 that add to 2. Since it's a small number, this is negative, so the numbers have to be close together. If I think of like 12 times 2, make one negative, I'm going to get 10, not 2. Alright, so how about 3 and 8, make one negative. When I add those together, I'm going to get 5. This one to get like 10. I mean negative 5. But I need 2. So those don't work. What else goes in 24? 4 and 6. So 4 times 6, add those together, I get negative 2. There we go. Positive 2, change my signs. Add the x's. Negative 4 times 6 is negative 24. Add them together, positive 2. So those are my two factors. Put them in any box you want. But don't forget, now when you do this, what do they both have in common? They both have an x, and 3 goes into both those. So you don't pull out just the x, but it has to also be a 3x. And then 3x times what is 3x squared? That's an x. 3x times what here is 6x. Well, 3 times 2 gets you the 6. And here, negative 4 times x is negative 4x. And then double check. Negative 4 times 2 gives you the negative 8. So I'm pretty sure I did it right. X plus 2, 3x minus 4. Okay, there is our answer. Okay, for 26, GCF, 2 and 7. There's nothing that goes in 2 and 7. So there is no greatest common factor. So jump to the box. Okay, multiply these together. I get 12x squared. Factors of 12, 6 and 2, but those don't add to 7. How about 3 and 4? Those add to 7. There we go. 3 times 4 is 12. 3 plus 4 is 7. So 3x and 4x. Stick in there. What these have in common is just an x. 2 doesn't go into 3, so I can't pull out a number. X times x is, x times 2x gets me 2x squared. And x times 3 gets me the 3x. Here, I have 2x times what is 4x. 2 times 2 gets you 4. 2 times 3 is 6. Alright, so it worked out. There's the answer to 26. Okay, here's 27. 11's prime. 2 can't go into 11, so there is no GCF. So we can just get started on the box method. 2 times 15 is 30. 30x squared. So let's see, what makes 30? 6 times 5. And I add those. Sweet, I get 11. I got out my first try. That's always nice when you get out on your first try. Typically doesn't happen though, right? Okay. Just checking, multiply, add to those. Good. What these both have in common is 2 and x. 2 goes into 2, 2 goes into 6. And they both have an x I take out. 2x times x is 2x squared. So 2x times what here is 6x. 2 times 3 gives you the 6. X times 5 is 5x. 5 times 3 is 15. I hope you're getting this and that factoring is starting to become easy. So there's 27. So these last three, on your tests, they will have a greatest common factor and they will be factorable. So I didn't catch this one. It says factor this. After you find the greatest common factor, it actually cannot be factored after that. So just find the GCF on this one. So I'm looking for the largest number that goes in all of these, which is 3. And notice they each have a y, so take the smallest one out. Your GCF is 3y. So in these little ones, you got to take out the GCF before you factor. So they each have one x to take out, and the number that goes in 30, 22, and 4 would be 2. So take out 2x and then factor what's left. So I found that 2 goes in these and x. So when you take that out, I take 30 divided by 2 to get 15, 22 divided by 2 to get 11, and so on, and take away 1x. And this is what you put in your box and factor using the box method. So same here, factor the rest in the parentheses. So here's the answers, and sorry I ran out of time.